Alberto responded. Domingo punched his fist into the air and laughingly screamed, "Oh, yeah!" Turned around and told his girlfriend, "Baby, it's time to play." "Does that mean you're going to drink tonight?" she asked in a tone that proved she was used to it. "Well, just a little. I'll see you tomorrow morning when I take you to school," Domingo sincerely responded. He kissed her, turned around, and crossed the street. Alberto, his friend, leaning on the entrance of the store, smiling, informed him, "Domingo, the sacristan, is looking for you. He is probably around the corner knocking at your grandmother's house right now." "Shit, I don't even have to go after him. I already know what's up." "The church wants to play," Domingo said, and with an intense enthusiasm, Alberto tells him, "Tonight we got money. Go tell the guys." "What did Cecilia say?" Alberto asked. Oh, she's my girlfriend. She understands," Domingo responded. Alberto, taking a clerical pose and crossing it all up, poking his head, chest, and shoulders, dismissed Domingo, musing towards him, "Go forth, young man, and shove that stick through the church's ass. And, oh yeah, bring back as much money as you can," Alberto said. "Amen, my brother. I'll see you later about 7, Domingo said. Domingo started jogging towards the church, down a neighborhood street in Medellin, Colombia. It was 1975. He was 17 years old, addicted to alcohol, music, dancing, billiards, and a nostalgia given to him by the music of the country that had adopted him. He sees the sacristan across the street walking back to the church. "Hey, closet!" Domingo yelled as he crossed the street to meet him. "Don't call me closet, you idiot," says the sacristan, waving his arms in a disarmed feminine way. Okay, sorry. But why are you looking at me? Does the father want to play?" Domingo asked eagerly. "Why are you looking for me? Does the father want to play?" Domingo asked eagerly. "Oh, yes, he wants to play." Again, now responding to Domingo, kind of coiling up, relaxing, then smoothly saying, "You owe me for the last time," he said with a flirtatious smile. "I know. I just didn't see you to pay you." "Well, tonight you pay," the sacristan said a little more aggressively. "That's fine. I'll pay you the 10 pesos from last time, and if you leave me 2 glasses of wine behind the toilet, I'll give you 25 tonight," Domingo proposed. "Deal," the sacristan said, as they walked together towards the church. It was named the Church of the 12 Apostles. It was 3 buildings. One was the church. The other one in between was a great space with a dance hall, with a stage and a patio with no roof above it, and in the back a ping pong table and the billiard table that had been the reason Domingo ever got close to the church. The 3rd building was the living quarters for the priest and a small library and the office, and that's where Domingo and the sacristan entered into. Domingo's dick started getting hard as they entered the reception area, where the sacristan left him to go call the priest, and there she was, Annalise, the secretary with the big tits and a deep, wide cleavage. Every man's fantasy in the neighborhood. And Domingo knew of nobody else that had the pleasure of one hot afternoon feeling her up, just to be stopped and be thrown out by the priest. She, guilty, and for him, now his masturbatory muse. Probably a common thing with the men in the area. "Hi, Annalise. How you doing, beautiful?" Domingo said nervously, feeling that he was drowning in lust, trying not to lose control. He was not here for the secretary of the church. He was here to stick it to the parish priest. "Did you tell your friends?" was the first thing she whispered loudly to him. No, Domingo lied, whispering loudly back. They were interrupted. "Domingo, he is waiting," the sacristan yelled from the back. "I'm coming," Domingo yelled. And to reassure Annalise, he turned to her and lied once again. "No, I didn't tell anybody." then rushed to the back to play with his moneymaker, the parish priest, whose name was Angel, a funny name to all in the neighborhood, where the church protruded from, like guilt's hiding place, a bank where all secrets were confessed as sins and then forgiven with prayers and cash penitence. That's where Domingo came in, to recover that cash and spend it on sin. Poor Father Angel, addicted to billiards, and the only one to beat in the neighborhood was the champion neighborhood, Domingo Nova. It was time to hustle. With his own addiction to billiards, which he plays like chess and with the looseness of dance. So, most of his math involved Father's Angel's satisfaction. Gotta keep a sucker happy. It was simple. The fool wanted to win, so Domingo would fake lose games with low bets and win those with high stakes. To Domingo, those were his 3 balls, and in the end, the priest would win 5 out of 6 in 10 games. The hustle varied. Sometimes Domingo would lose and even share the passion of the game with Angel, telling him that he was getting much better, then walking away happy, not because he had 200 pesos in his pocket, but because he had hustled the cross and he was on his way to get drunk with his friends in what would be a frenzy of dancing, drinking, mocking the church and the whole world with Héctor Lavoe, Daniel Santos, Willie Colon, Carlos Gardel, and the universe of cumbia, vallenato, and booze, and the jukebox teasing waitress prostitutes friends. Waking up the next day, picking up Cecilia, taking her to school, to then go to his school, smiling with a bounce in his step. He had no God in his head, and yesterday, he stuck a cue stick up the church's ass. Sorry for the Christians. Thank you. I was having fun at 17. This is actually a birthday. This is when I was probably about 35 years old, and it's a true story. And it's called Mexican Bus Birthday. We had been together a few months. Her name was Cristina, and sometimes I'd call her La Vecina, the neighbor. I had met her at my friend's barbecue. She lived upstairs from him, thus the nickname. What do you want to do now? I asked her. It was my birthday, living another Indian summer on Potrero Hill. All the 5 windows in my second-story living room were open. I was pacing around. She was laying on the sofa naked. Both of us had after-sex beers and cigarettes in our hands, together smoking and smiling. And as I was feeling that I was getting hard again, I heard a mambo coming from outside on Utah Street. That's not necessarily surreal. It could be a Latin in a car blasting it. I mean, this is California. After figuring that the car was parked because the music didn't fade down the street, I go to take a look, concluding it might be one of my friends. I walk towards the windows, and lights start rising from the bottom edge of the window's frame. And oh yeah, once I poked my head out, it was my friends, all right, in a very big way. Parked in front of my house was the Mexican bus, all lit up and blaring El Mambo number 5. What a sight. The whole bus was covered in little titillating lights. I panned a shot towards the open front door to another beautiful sight. It was Karen, standing at the entrance, smiling, waving me over with just one finger so I could see the smile behind it that suddenly grew into a wide-mouthed, happy birthday loco shout. Oh shit, I can't believe this. We will be right down. I turned my head and Christina was already getting dressed. Baby, you will not believe this. What? She says, strapping herself up, walking towards the window. I moved aside, and with glee, I tell her, Daddy's birthday present come to pick us up, baby. God, I'm getting excited like I'm going right now. We both ran down the stairs and up the hot metal stairs of the summer bus, now invigorating the evening. We were already beer buzzed, and everybody else on the bus was on their way to drunkenness. This is Lalo, and this is Karen, that's Archimedes, and the guy offering the beer, that's Rogelio. This is my girl Cristina, and it was hugs and kisses, and the bus closed its doors, and we sped off, popping beer, mambo excited as we all blended in, happy and ready for the night. Lalo then ceremoniously high shouts out, "Today we will drive around San Francisco to celebrate Francisco's birthday." Then he pressed the button and the tequila song starts playing, and we all start dancing funny as Rogelio, the dispenser, passes a bottle of tequila to then swallow the burn of a joint and offer it to the closest smoker as a tequila chaser. It was still early. The plan was to hit a few salsa clubs, invite people that were going in or coming out to dance on the bus. I can't remember who said, "Hey, what about Koch?" "Shit, yeah," somebody else said. Then I opened my mouth. "I know where to get some." "Just tell me where to go," said Lalo, passing the joint to Karen and driving barefoot. "Let's go to my brother's house in front of Presida Park," I said. 10 blocks later, they drop me off, and I tell Lalo to go around the park a couple of times and that I will be out in 3 to 5 minutes. My brother Michael was also always subsidizing his income with a variety of hustles. The man was proud not to have a full-time job. He opened the door, I looked at him and said to my insides, "Fucking Christ on a cross, he's tweaked." Immediately, I approached him as we got to the top of the stairs. "Look, do you have a gram?" And I flashed the money. He starts looking for it. He seems lost, stopping, wondering where he put the shit, and not nonstop talking about the problem with his landlord and other random shit. He could pause and start talking to me about something, sweating and agitated, and I'd have to interrupt and remind him what he was looking for, and that I had people waiting. I kept looking out the window at the bus going around that 4-block park over and over again for 20 minutes. Then I started laughing in my head about going around San Francisco, and they were now going around. And then he said, "I found it," he said, almost defeated. "You know what? Give me 2, I said in the spirit of things. And then he talked me down the stairs. I told him I loved him. He said happy birthday and closed the door. I didn't even bother inviting him. He was so tweaked I could see him rushing up the stairs and hiding behind something. 10 minutes later, the bus was re-energized. Nobody asked me why I took so long. It seemed they just kept on having fun circling Presida Park. Our first target was Café du Nord. Lalo parked just a few buildings down, where the line to the place ended. He then rushed out of the bus and went to take a pee, supposedly at the cafe, which had a relaxed dress code, but where a long-haired, bearded Mexican will never be permitted to walk in barefoot. So I figured he would go around the corner and bush it. People started coming up, shouting and dancing with us, even random and curious people that were not on their way to dance that night. 2 songs later, we heard a clang and a demanding attention. "Hey, hey, hey," in the bus. It was the police. They were at the foot of the door, but they couldn't come in legally. So Karen ran up and fronted them, asked them, "What's up?" with a relaxed, drunk, plump, sexy look. "Where is the driver of the bus?" the cop asked. "He's taking a piss at the club. Well, he's parked in front of a driveway." "It will be a couple of minutes," she told them, as the cops like to hear it very nicely. Prophetically, 2 minutes later, Lalo appeared, missing the law by seconds. And before taking his sit, he screams out, Where next? We have to go. I'm parked in front of a garage." I think we all laugh, but there was too much going on. People were drinking, dancing, making out, talking, seated, standing. But suddenly, our dozen or so newfound friends quickly evacuated the bus when its engine started. At the next light, it was just the 6 of us again. Target number 1 had been a success. Then I have two parentheses, and that was the blackout. And then it was suddenly 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. And Lalo turned on Harrison Street. It was Harrison and 17th, I remember, or 20th. And Lalo got that easy Mexican back into him as he cruised the dark, empty street he offered. Who wants to drive the bus? Cristina suddenly whips her tongue out of my mouth and shouts, me, 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 and rushes to the front. I had forgotten about the joint in my pocket as I buttoned up my shirt. I noticed it, now understanding why I liked her so much as she sat and drove the bus, just 2 minutes after rubbing my torso hungrily, making out and oblivious to all except the music. We all went to the front to cheer her on, and we hooted and laughed when she came to a stop on 16th Street and handed back the steering wheel to her mentor that guided her for 10 blocks without stripping a gear. As Lalo turned right on 17th Street, I said, "Hey, does anybody want to hit this?" Lalo retorted, looking at everybody with a comical, questioning face. Why does he even ask this question? That was some dense weed. So thick and smelly, even the music faded at full volume. This was the joint my brother gave me for my birthday. I forgot it because I was worried about him and that bus circling. But I recognize it as his kind of weed. He needs the strongest shit to get him high. By the time we got to my house, our drunkenness had been severely multiplied. The music was loud only to the neighbors. We were part of its noise, hugging and kissing goodbye and dragging it out in screams and laughter and goodbye. Cristina and I ran up the stairs. We were all smiles. We had wine in the fridge and some passion to spank. But first music to continue the happy night. I can't remember what song, but I do remember that I heard what I heard when it ended. The screaming shrill of metal against metal. Sweetie, what the fuck, she said. Sweetie, what the fuck, she said. And I said, then we both ran towards the window, and our what the fucks were answered. The bus was a half block away, its back rim stuck and struggling with a couple of parked cars. We could hear the clutch working. Shit, these guys were so high and the music so loud, they didn't know they were stuck. I bolted down the stairs, ran out the door, turned up the street, but they were on their way. They had gotten loose, and a bunch of my neighbors started pouring out into the street, startled. I turned around, hoping nobody saw the bus drop us off. Thank you. These are a few, got like 5 more minutes maybe? Okay, I'm going to read about 3 of these, and then the last one is going to be one called Voice Up, which I think is a message that all of us need to hear almost every day. But I'll just pick about 3 of these, and there's one that I wanted to read from my friend Maria. She might agree or disagree with it, but I haven't run through it with her. El Bugalú. Another essence of musical hustle with the heart of an ignited, dark-skinned sun, carving out who knows what one-hit wonders to come. This is Bugalú, and of course, there are no guarantees and no purity. Language. Oh, all these are from a book of real short poems that are going to be called Haikus for Low Lives. And this one is called Language, and they're really short. The shine that we give to our thoughts using our soul as a rag. In reasoning, reasoning is the pillow we put between our heads and the wall we're trying to bash it into. So those are haikus for low lives. And this one is called Voice Up. And it's in tune with the times. If you feel powerless, there's nothing you could do. And there is nothing you could do, at the very least, voice up. Voice up against the criminalization of truth, against rampant government assassination of the just, and the accepted denial of proof. Voice up, and everything can change for those who wake up with their souls leaping in content towards the injustices of reality. Voice up to make sense out of the false dreams and smoke screens, promises that have been nailed into the history of our humanity. Scream out against genocide, slavery, cultural appropriation, racism, privilege, and the blatant or tacit systematic exploitation and humiliation of those who are different or poor. Voice up, because one thing is for certain, the silence only feeds the evil behind the curtain. Shout out for accountability of those guilty in the present and the condemnation of those who in the past have been. On the streets, in your home, from your heart, justice for all. Voice up and let the changes begin. Thank you.
Orrego. Yes, yes. Very nice. Concluding with very pertinent words of wisdom indeed. And now I have the pleasure to introduce Maria Serafin, who I know has always got a Caribbean backbeat happening to whatever she does. And again, to remind you, El Grupo Sin Igual is a group that she's been doing extraordinary things with for 35 years. So, Maria Serafin.
Gracias. Thank you very much. Those of you who know me know that I do most of my flows in Spanish and English, Spanglish. And, well, you know, tonight I thought I'd do some poetry that I haven't read for anyone, except maybe Francisco in the alley. I write for dead people. I write for the enfumbe, the unseen, whose are only alive in memory, even if it's only mine. I write for others, to share a light on our heroes, our sheroes, their lives. I write to shine a light on their contributions. I write to confirm the lessons learned. Because just as they transitioned, we too are in line for destiny's time. Not too many Latinos as Spanish speakers in the house, but yesterday was World AIDS Day, and I wrote a song which I had the opportunity to record with my salsa band at Grupo Sin Igual. You can see it on www.salsasinigual.com. It's called No Te Digo Adios, about my dear friend Martin. But for World AIDS Day, I wrote this piece, One Too Many. One too many from this world have gone, pioneers forging the roads that others are on. With a milieu of medication, experimentations, research, observations, and pharmaceutical propagations, a mysterious disease occurred and appeared in the cities of New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Miami. Spreading like a hurricane storm, a rampant, deadly wave had come crashing down on our communities, taking one too many to the grave. One too many traumatic goodbyes left me with memories, anger, and tears that scarred my eyes for one too many. As an ocean of tears for those who were dear, amidst all the widespread ignorance and fears, one too many. Acquired by man, immunity with impunity, deficiency of advocacy, silencing the heartbeats of one too many. For one too many, I will continue to promote social responsibility, prevention by protection, and encourage HIV/AIDS education for youth and for the one too many who think it could never happen to them. One too many in our family, as in our circle of friends, lovers, sisters, brothers, fathers, aunts, and uncles, among others, friends whose struggle should remind us, should provoke us, the living, to be more understanding, to not give up the fight, to be more giving. For one too many from this world have gone, pioneers whose legacy of struggle lives on. I wrote this one for a very dear friend and poet, Piri Thomas. I don't know if you were privileged to know Piri, but he was a great poet. This is called Para Piri, Para Piri. Para Piri, Para Piri, Para Piri Tomás, hermano poeta del barrio, un profeta de las calles bravas de Nueva York. Con su letra escribió, describiendo su vida como un títere down these mean streets. El carapalo, negrito puertorriqueño, cubano, que vivió en un limbo entre las razas, integrándose con su sabor dotado en las comunidades de Nueva York hasta San Francisco y la área de la Bahía. Para Piri, para Piri, para Piri Tomás. We shared the stages as MCs for Encuentro de Canto Popular, as Poetas de la Paz, the Peace Poets. Our words were insightful pleas for awareness, revolution, and solidarity. Para Piri, para Piri, para Piri Tomás, for Piri, our querido maestro, who bared his soul in prose and poetry with a bilingual Spanglish of the streets. Para Piri, para Piri, para Piri Tomás, para Piri, como dice Felipe Luciano, my pretty nigga, who had to go through it to get to it with intuition and a warm velvet voice that made us look inside and made us look within to find our light, to not give up the fight. Para Piri, para Piri, para Piri Tomás. I don't always write for the dead, but talking about Avacha. Yes, with the musical truth, our cultural warrior, Maria Medina in the house. I came to musically rouse you poetically with her praises. Hablando de la poesía y la verdad musical, llegamos este día con su amiga María a felicitar, honrar, para Avacha a declamar. Ay, Avacha, querida guerrera cultural, compartiendo las letras de su poesía como pan ceremonial. Siempre consciente, nos habla de la condición humana mundial. Madre, abuela, amiga y hermana, nos inspira con su arte, siempre alzando las banderas de los pueblos donde quiera. Con esta rumba quisiera gritarle a los cuatro vientos nuestro agradecimiento por su pasión que a través de su poesía despierta las mentes dormidas. A Dupuy, we are grateful as we express our feelings of love and affection for Avacha. Now this is the part where I get, like you used to know me. That's right. I'm going to do a couple of pieces now, which I guess most people knew me when I first birthed myself in spoken word. I became MM, the word weave rumbera. I do say I am MM, the word weave rumbera. Aquí donde quiera. I weave phonemes, producing word flows and sounds like my hands coming down, beating conga rhythm patterns around a message. Can I borrow that chair? Because this one's a little too high. I'll tell you tales about this beautiful conga who came all the way from Miami and got stolen from me in Berkeley. The advent of Dia de Reyes. As you know, I write for my heroes and my sheroes, and I'm going to start.
How'd you get it back?
How this was really interesting. You know, I have a friend in Berkeley, Sam the hippie. I don't know if you know him. He makes Sam is awesome. But anyway, one day he invites me to a rumba over in Berkeley. So I'm like, yeah, I'm down. And he picks me up at the BART station, and he starts going on about this little drum that he just got. Oh my God, he put a new skin on it. Hey, John Santos even played it at some rumba, que sé yo, you know what I'm saying? This little rumba got around before I got back to it. And the way it left me was on Dia de Reyes, January 6th. I had gone to Berkeley to celebrate with my friend, Israel. And something told me, oh man, stop over at Rasputin's and check out the CDs. Maybe you want to buy one or two before you go back to the city. So I go up Telegraph. I'm only parked on Dwight Way, a block and a half away, right? Oh my goodness. I must have took like 25 minutes when I came back. I just looked at my car and I saw the material hanging from the back seat. A black piece of blanket that I used to throw over my little ceramic bongos, Moroccan bongos. And I was like, oh man. So I went, they had broken my car. I sit down and I get ready for the worst. I open up the trunk. I go to the trunk. Man, they took everything, even my dirty clothes. I'm like, what? You know? But they had stolen this beautiful drum along with my bongos and a whole bunch of other stuff, some gifts, Christmas gifts and whatnot. But this, 4 months later, came back to me with that invitation to that rumba, and my friend Sam actually signed it over to me because I had gone through hell trying to find it. I found out that he bought it from a guy at the flea market. The guy at the flea market bought it from a guy at another flea market who had bought it from a guy who coincidentally used to be my karate kempo teacher at Laney College. See, Chris, yeah, he's got studios. He's got a studio on Adeline, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna start. I gotta make this right somehow. So I went to the guy at the flea market and I said, look, I'm a drummer. You're a drummer, you know, and you sold this drum to my friend, and all I want to do is give him the profit that you made on the drum, you know. So he gives him $40, you know. Boom, chévere. I go back and I trace it down to my teacher, and I go, oh, Mr. Secrece, you know, it's been a long time since I saw you. I've come a long way since then, and somehow my stolen drum goes back to you. So he said, oh, wow, I got it from a guy in the Oakland flea market in East Oakland. I was like, wow, okay. So anyway, long story short, here she is. How do you like her new skirt? Yeah. Okay. So the first piece I'm going to do is, I get one of my latest. I write for all my salsa heroes. And this particular one is for America's firstborn son of Latin jazz music, who is Ray Barreto. And I guess the Ray Barreto folks would know what I'm talking about when I say, I remember Ray Barreto, the soul drummer, who gave us El Watusi, el indestructible, el rey de las manos duras. Brooklyn born and barrio raised with raíces in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, Ray left some of the best music ever recorded. A hero we can all claim. Ray was a Fania all-star leader whose rhythm of life made him choose the other road. Tu sabes, mixing jazz elements, rhythm and blues, and soul, like un sofrito, like a tasty musical casserole. Ray was always cocinando la música, como la charanga, el boogaloo, Latin with jazz, and kept us dancing to some of the best salsa de la verdura, which is what I like to call it. Brother Ray, a giant force en la carretera. Yes, a rumbero with all the grandes soneros. He was our Señor 007, our Rey Criollo, el Latino con soul, who gave us head sounds and barreto power, and always the message, que viva la música. Pracatu, pracatu, can you feel it? Ray, the real deal. A giant force en la carretera, a master conguero. The real deal was more than just a giant on conga. He was a composer, a stellar reconstruction, who left his handprints on the congas and skins of live in New York and Puerto Rico, from the east to the west, had us singing with Guararé, y si tú tienes fe, todo se va a poder. Ray likened the blues to Guajira as music of the people, by the people and for the people. And he always maintained his island tradición, siempre pidiendo y dando la bendición. Ray was a catalyst for the New World Spirit, his Latin jazz musical crew who gave this true loving jazz giant. He received the National Endowment for the Arts just 3 days before he left us. He left his last impressions recorded with his son Chris on saxophone, recording classic standards, reconditioned. We will never forget, Papa. Que viva Rey Barreto. Tape of my mind and recall that sad second day of February 2003. How sad the day we viewed his body laid before us. In a coffee brown suit with a tan shirt and tie, su cara, his face reflected a peaceful smile. Meanwhile, I put a tiny conga, emblem of his impact on my life, in his hands under a big black crucifix. Mongo, como te quise, te quiero. Por ser inspiración mayor y amigo sincero. Quila, quila, quila. The Woodlawn Caballero in the southwest part of Miami was a scene where over 150 of his family, friends, and the media converged for the final despedida. Where rumberos like Julio Chino Agosto and Daniel Ponce played the farewell rumba, while we responded with a coro. Él era mi amigo y yo lo quería. Tu pata, tu pata, tu pata, tu pata, tu pata, tu pata, tu. Now images of him spring to mind, and I recall him on the San Francisco stages of the Club Matador, the Keystone Corner, to New York's Village Gate. Brother Mongo, genuine Mongo whose beat spoke of Africa, who woke us up to our Latin soul. We got Latin soul, we got it. We had mighty Mongo, Santa Maria, do two more. I'll do this one for the Mambo King. They called him El Rey, and he was the ultimate Palladium Mambo King, a complete musician who knew how to swing a beat on timbales. He composed on piano and vibes, rhythms and melodies of Afro-Antillean tribes. A real Latin from Manhattan, he was a giant among his peers, and for over 50 years, he gave the world more than 5 decades of Latin jazz and salsa con swing. From El Barrio, New York City, San Francisco to LA, around the world to the Far East, he supplied a musical feast. Yo, TP, Tito Puente, a man of la gente, was a cultural bridge from Puerto Rico to the world. In a time when heroes are few, I claim Tito as one who was true. I recall his image with pride because I was blessed to have shared time his side. From the West Coast to the East, in Puerto Rico and Miami, Ernesto Tito Puente, un hombre elocuente, fue una inspiración para su gente. Yo, Santana dug his vibe and made history when he rocked the nation with Tito's inspiration. Oye, ¿cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar. Mulata, oye, ¿cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar. Mulata. But what hasn't been said, that hasn't been read about how he led with integrity and grace? Tito was a man for all ages. Beyond the mambo and the cha-cha rages, truly a man for all seasons, which gives me more than enough reason to sing his praises. Oh, yuba bobo ekun embelece los lugares iba yeorum para Ernesto Tito Puente. Punto. All right, I forgot to bring some water up in here, but a little vessel, but I want to share this next one. This is audience participation, okay? So you're invited to participate on this, and your part is just going to be sal, 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 sal. Can everybody do that? Let's try it. Sal, 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 sal. That's what you're going to repeat from me, okay?
Serafin. Oh, my
Medina
goodness. What a
Serafin,
pleasure.
gracias.
What a pleasure. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, my brother.
I was excited for good reason, I tell you. No, I've had the pleasure of making music with Maria on different occasions, and well, you can see, it's like someone to be reckoned with. So,
Música.
yeah,
Uy.
word weave rumbera. Yeah, awesome stuff. So, before we go into the break, and then we'll have the full open reading, I'm going to read a couple of little things. One of them is written for the beloved poet Francisco Alarcón, not to be confused with Francisco Orrego. He passed away prematurely a couple of years ago, a very sad thing. I mean, he was a really a person, very generous, really extraordinary person in the community. We know neither the day nor the hour of the timbalero's solo, or when the moon will rise like a scorpion to ignite our hair. I love I think it was a Piri Thomas poem when Maria mentioned un limbo entre las razas or something. I thought that was very beautiful because that's where we're living, of course, in this historical moment. We're all between races. If you have any delusions that you are one race or another, we have to disabuse you of that. I mean, hey, get with the program. All right.
I think the ball game was invented by the chimpanzees.
Thank you. So, well, we know you're a cultural anthropologist, so we will put that aside. But this is entitled, just something I wrote this week, Sloth is like sleep or youth, a thick sap, a flame in our veins like a lazy dog in heat, or a baffled bird stuck in the chimney as the whole chingadera burns down. My friend argues to no avail with pigeons. The pigeons are insightful, ironic, and grateful to be taken seriously. A sage says, we don't own our children. We borrow them briefly, then return them dog-eared and overdue. As an anonymous bedlamite once wrote, the moon's my constant mistress, and the lovely owl my marrow. The flaming drake and the night crow make me music to my sorrow. Me, I wake up each morning like a stone dropping from heaven. A sage doesn't know his ass from an onion. Whenever I see a woman reading Beckett in public, I pretend to be a blind man with perfect pitch and write my name with a twig in the sand. All right, we're going to have a brief break, and then the official open session will start. All right.
preguntado what happened to her, you know?
Because I like found her. I found her in Sac. It's like she was living with her dad in Sacramento.
Uh-huh.
And I called her and I got a hold of her. And she was telling me, yeah, she's on a trip with my niece. She just got it. She's flying Sacramento. But she hasn't told me anything.
But I,
this on again. All right. Dun, dun, dun. So, I'll read a few things here to start off. So, a little belated Thanksgiving poem called Kosher Turkey. Recently, I saw some domestic turkeys a neighbor kept. They seemed very happy, though of course they didn't know what was in store for them. But then neither do we, even if we are for the moment top dog on the planet. But we are what we eat, and what we are is meat. That's the neat thing about the food chain. There's always room at the top. And that's why it's so important to appreciate the gift, as Abraham did when he gladly cut the lamb's throat, while poor innocent Isaac wondered all his life, while the voice of the angel who had intervened on his behalf sounded so curiously like his favorite Uncle Harry, who probably staged the whole thing in the first place. He was that kind of guy, always with a joke or prank up his sleeve. Anyway, the turkeys probably don't get it. But it has to be done properly, in the right spirit, in the purity of that moment, or throw it to the dogs. For the source of nourishment itself is without pity or sentiment. It is what it is, even for the turkeys, even for us. So I got another couple of poems here. Let's see. Okay. This one is for my friend Jane Radis, who you'll hear tonight too in the open. So it's called Friendship City. Jane and I met in the late 60s through a mutual friend, actually a psychiatrist we happen to know, who told her in a past life she was Nefertiti, and I was her son, King Tut, the boy Pharaoh. We still have the bust of Nefertiti attesting to her beauty. We immediately got together and started writing songs and going around to hootenannies and open mics at folk clubs. Back in the day, there was a place we could sing every night of the week. I still sing some of those songs occasionally. She's a great lyricist and poet, and our music was topical and upbeat. We still get together from time to time to share a glass of wine and talk about what's going on in our lives and reminisce. Here's to long-lasting friendship, a rare thing in this world, a trust tested by time, a treasure I find rooted in genuine honesty and sincerity in this crazy city of St. Francis. Okay, this is Indian winter in San Francisco. I look up skyward as I walk, for the stars are speaking to me. Two big, bright, beautiful lamps with lots of personality, obscuring the light of all the other stars tonight. I'm sorry. I have to start over. I'm sorry. I look skyward as I walk, for the stars are speaking to me alone. Two big, bright, beautiful lamps with lots of personality, obscuring the light of all the other stars tonight, in a playful display of power and wisdom, in what used to be Indian summer in September has now become Indian winter in November, gift of the weather gods, just for fun, just for me. Their silent laughter making me remember the poet's job, to leave a record of my stay, my story, my reverie of all the issues of our day. For we poets too are just passing through. There will be others just like us, and just like us they will say, "Poet, eat, drink, and be merry, and sing with your whole being. For tomorrow is but a dream, and today the only possibility of finding meaning here on earth, where heaven or hell, by our own words and actions, are endowed with reality." Okie dokie. Brett.
How y'all doing? Hey. Okay.
Oh, can I make one announcement?
Sure.
Rebecca is hosting the Artists in Kerouac Alley second Sunday?
December 12th.
Okay, December 12th. Featuring 10
Probably more like 11.
Okay.
Probably more like 5.
Okay.
Francisco Orrego, who read, will be in it. I will be in it.
Mm-hmm.
10 of us will be in it. That's Kerouac Alley
Yeah.
on Sunday, December 12th.
Okie doke.
But
All right.
more to the point, Michael Koch, our host, has artwork up all the month of December
Yeah.
in Vesuvio indoors, and has a reception next Thursday.
Yeah.
From 7 to 9. He's too shy to mention it himself.
I do have postcards if you need.
But he has postcards, but you have to ask him because he's too shy to mention that he has them. And it's a fantastic indoor show at Vesuvio.
Yeah.
So if you come on the 12th, you can go inside too and see his artwork. Or better still, come next Thursday from 7 to 9.
Yes.
And he'll be there in all his glory with his beautiful artwork that of about 20 pieces.
Yeah.
And snacks. And it's a good watering hole too.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay, Brett.
Public
Sorry.
service
It's
announcement.
all good. Two poems. First one's called Rest. Cool breeze at dusk, coyotes off in the distance, crickets nearby singing a dusk melody, the whistling wind calming every corner of the concrete nervous system. I observed the stars making their way, one by one, to light the traveler's way, as if they were on the same journey together. Even with the infinite painted deep purple and dark blue overhead, I did not feel so small or alone, as mice and other rodents call the desert home. A kind of peace with that realization. Thus, I came to this point between jasper rocks and the cactus vastness to the horizon, where my self-knowing was no longer at war. I was and remain at vibration, allowing for a deep exhale. Thus, on these cool autumn desert nights, rest. I'm at rest.
Can you turn that down just a bit? Can you turn the mic down just a little bit?
Oh, it's good.
You know, I don't know actually how to do that.
I'll get it.
I'll also I can talk quieter.
Step back a
Sure.
few inches.
Sorry, high school teacher, you got to project. Otherwise, people are on their phones. So, okay, second one has no title. Hollywood, 2007, 1:15 in the morning, Saturday night, my friend's 21st birthday. I was not the clubber. In fact, I didn't like it because the beat gave me tinnitus. So I decided to leave the club and wander the streets of Hollywood, all the stars. As I walked around, I met 4 girls. They must have been in high school because they were pretty young. And they said, "Have you met Jesus tonight?" And I said, "No. Tell me about him." We had a conversation for a couple of minutes, and it was very clear to them that I did not walk to their drum beat. On and on we talked, and when they realized they could not convert me, they brought out the big guns. Their pastor. He could have been maybe 10 to 15 years older than me. I couldn't know. All I know is that this was going to be fun and a real challenge because even though I was intoxicated, I knew that this would be a memory down the road. He said, "Why don't you believe?" And I said, "Can you give me a reason?" He said, "Well, look around you." And I said, "Oh, I see cars." We went on and on, back and forth, back and forth. And he said, "What do you believe in?" And I said, "I'm not sure. Does it matter?" And he said, "Well, give me something to believe in from your perspective." And I said, "Okay, that's easy. I believe in the meditation of Buddha because it's good to have a sound mind. And with the right vibration, I truly believe we could have world peace. I believe that everybody is welcome at the table, like Jesus said, and there's no exception to that. Either your enemy goes or nobody goes. I believe in the Jewish value of family and community and good health and food. I believe in Hinduism of talking about the next life as if it matters for this one, because what my actions do affect future generations, and I can show you proof of that. Just ask the environment. I believe what the atheist or the scientist says in that we need to live with the earth in the here and now, and not so much for what the afterlife will say. Is there anything else you want to know? Shall we keep going? Or are we down to the gates of hell where you're afraid that you just want to drop me off the bus and get ready for the barbecue at 4 p.m.? He didn't want to talk anymore. And so he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Can I pray for you?" And I said, "Not before you pray for the 5,000 homeless in this city who have no place to sleep tonight. Because you and I are in a bed because somehow we won at capitalism. But they didn't. And they're the ones that you should really care about. Me, I'll be okay. Don't you worry." Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. And Jane.
Following all that social commentary, and all I have is personal poems. Oh, God. Anyway, 3 poems. Upon having insomnia and hearing the ocean roar, I saw the lie. It twinkled there in the moonlight. We could all see it. Bewitched in a fairy tale, that's me, in a fine dress and cheap jewels. And these are poems. I made this book for my friend who died 2 years ago. Nothing but a dream. Try to grasp the dream, and it's always one door beyond. You're reaching for the handle, moments too late. A billowy door blows shut, cloth of the dream. And tripping to the final exit. I left the Death and Dying lecture early to get home in time to watch NCIS. Death and Dying was interesting, but NCIS is only on once a week. I go out to where the 19 Polk bus stops. The GPS sign there indicated arrival of 3 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 2 minutes, then 3 minutes. Inexplicable. Perhaps the bus driver was driving around in circles. Circling back to Death and Dying, the woman was very animated. talking about seconal and cocktails. I think I'm going to this lecture series as I have a friend who's dying, but then I find myself applying the information to my life. Just as you try to figure out the odds, it is everyone, no matter the quality of medical care or whether you've done yoga and eaten well. We all go out feet first, our friends watching, maybe family too, if they can see their way clear to make the trip. An airplane circles, landing near the bay, disturbing the blackbirds who take flight with a whooshing sound, as if the air is sucked out of the air. The clouds are shredded, and it ends. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, August. Is your dog gonna read?
I think she already has, actually, a few times back there. I was going to read a few other poems, but I remembered it was National AIDS Day. And so I thought I'd read a poem. It's actually, I think, the first poem I ever wrote. So it's from, I don't know, 28 years ago. But I thought maybe it would be appropriate. Maybe some of you remember it. The title of our poem is Our Dead Are Woven. I am not a square of funeral quilt, but it covers me like it covers the lawn each year, a sad headstone in front of the White House. I am not a death, but like death, I'm spreading my arms wide and feel like I could swallow the world with a turn of an elbow. What I need is more room, a place to walk that is not a cemetery of fabric, but is a memorial made of grass, of living things, of people with some place to go, their dizzying limbs propelling them with purpose, a world where death is not something that multiplies like a virus. I live in a cold world where the dead are woven in the thick quilt of memory, where every fiber is a fleeting moment that once stood firm against the ravaging of time. Though the quilt can blanket an entire nation, I know the world is cold underneath. Each square tells a short story. Each square, embroidered with a passing name, tells a death. Filled with so many images of death, the quilt continues to grow. I'm afraid one day the whole world will be covered in these macabre bedclothes. Oh, at last sleep, warm in its loss.
Okay, August and Claire.
Now I'm wondering, I don't know, which sounds, I'm kind of loud. Which is too loud? Which is? Go for the mic? Okay. Okay, this is a piece called Really Sick, and it's in a dedication to the poor misunderstood, downtrodden pharmaceutical companies. And the poor saps that are shackled to them. Okay, really sick. Bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, attention deficit disorder. My disorderly brain screams in your face. My disorderly brain kicks over your trash. My disorderly brain throws a rock through your window. My disorderly brain succumbs to your pepper spray. Psychotropic medication. Ambien, Ativan, Abilify, Boost Bar, Cytomel, Celexa. You tell me if I'm feeling low to take more pills. You tell me if I'm feeling high to take more pills. You tell me I'll get really sick if I stop taking my pills. Never mind the shaky hands that spill drinks and drop change. Never mind the dry mouth and dental bills. Never mind the oversedation and nodding out behind the wheel. Never mind the 4-day hospital with delirium stay. Depakote, Dexedrine, Effexor, Escalith, Fluoxetine, Gabapentin. You tell me if I'm feeling wretched to take more pills. You tell me if I'm feeling glorious to take more pills. You tell me I'll get really sick if I stop taking my pills. I wait and I wait and I wait in your clinic rooms. I wait and I wait and I wait for my prescription to be filled. I wait and I wait and I wait for the side effects to subside. I wait and I wait and I wait for you to return my call. Bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, attention deficit disorder. My disorderly brain spray paints your fence. My disorderly brain blocks your thoroughfare. My disorderly brain riots in your street. My disorderly brain succumbs to your clubs and handcuffs. 5150. Being labeled a danger to myself and to others, getting car sick in the ambulance on the way to the psych ward, being ignored by the smirking nurses and support staff, getting in line to get that little paper cup of pills, being declared non-compliant for not taking non-prescribed medication. Lamictal, Litrogene, Luvox, Lexapro, Olanzapine, Paxil. You tell me if I'm feeling suicidal to take more pills. You tell me if I'm feeling reborn to take more pills. You'll tell me I'll get really sick if I stop taking my pills. Tegretol, Tiagabin, Topamax, Wellbutrin. You prescribe them all, and I'm still a fucking mess. Thank you.
I have several poetry books. I think they're all in the store. I haven't really decided what to read, so I'll just see what happens.
Well, read a bit. This is not a whole lot of readers. So.
This is called The Ermine Girl. Face ermine white, so pale to blend into her winter. She took the name Snow because she needed something pretty, and a name was free. Runaway street girl curled in a doorway. Once her name was Sarah. Her white mask could be a death mask, or could be the soft white mammal running unseen through ice fields and tundra, through life's most northern reaches. Her pale face like milk, a balloon on the corner, blown above birches and light poles, sometimes sweet like sugar. And let's see, this one is Why My Neighbors Fix Cars. This week it's another one, lifted off its wheels, the hood open, a long and short body underneath, smells emanating into my doorway. Motor oil and brake fluid, garage door raised, engine running, pre-2000s, only manual, maybe a business or a favor for a friend or a trade for another favor. Father and son during the summer months, another car, a red truck, wires yellow and blue sticking out, the same car returning for the third time. I don't think they ever get fixed because my neighbors
fix cars. And let's see. Oh, well, this was actually written for Jane Radis. It must be Jane Radis night. It's called Out of Milwaukee. It looks like Milwaukee, I remember her saying, the upper Noe Valley, the kids at St. Paul's, German bakeries. Well, it's a feeling of being back home, her face as though framed in the lace from an antique shop. She didn't really know there was a section of town like that in San Francisco. She bought a book of poems from a used bookstore, went through the National Geographics for a half hour. I've got her picture now, I thought, sketching it in my mind, but it bled like watercolor. Why was she so fragile? Milwaukee, I thought, was beer and Oktoberfest. Looking back, all those church steeples in every neighborhood high above the houses, as my car mirrored the town behind me along the highway down to Chicago, back to San Francisco.
Thank you, Alice. Okay, and Bill. Pigeon feathers.
So there was a full eclipse of the moon recently, and I managed to get to a place where I could see it, where it was out of the clouds. And it just, whoa, that's something. That's something. So anyway, I got a bunch of moon poems. They're haikus, so they go quick. Some of them I'll read twice, which is in the tradition of haiku, is to read some of them twice. Moon. Moon clumps across sky, slowly munching the darkness. A horse in clover. Rain taps on the roof, angels dancing overhead. Moses' moon parts clouds. Lascivious moon peeks through keyhole of night at polygamous stars. Godfather moon rests on clouds, waiting for his slice of all the action. The tuxedoed wind shakes hands with trees while running for mayor of moon. I'm going to read that again. The tuxedoed wind shakes hands with trees while running for mayor of moon. Cowboy moon wrangles the night, kicking stardust down, spray of shooting stars. Sly moon peeks through trees, moon tongue licks lake top. A cat licks a bowl of milk. I got a few here. Moon, where are you, moon? The trees sing sweetly to polyphonic sky where moon casts her net. The trees sing sweetly to polyphonic sky where moon casts her net. Barefoot song badgers bailiff moon to free music bound in dissonance. Rain spoke in riddles at the fireman's ball, and the moon wore galoshes. Rain spoke in riddles at the fireman's ball, and the moon wore galoshes. That's enough.
Hello. Hello, can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay. I have 3 poems today. Still sad. Oh, I'm short, sorry. Oh, okay, yeah, that works better, doesn't it? Okay. We'll start with this one. What's your name again? Chris. I think I'm looking for something, wandering through forgotten years and dusting off ornaments, in a yard sale of worn but well-loved memories, ratty around the edges with holes I can poke my fingers through, deciding which ones I need to box and keep, and which ones to sell, because what was this all for? What was all this heartache for, if it's not worth anything? There is a secret on the tip of my tongue, one that, even if spoken, I would not understand. Sifting through the swirling sky blue flames on a chapel ceiling, and an endless echoing chamber of mirrors swallowing me whole. Grocery shopping on Sunday afternoons, this secret leaves a faint taste on my tongue, and I think that I must still be plowing fields and tending to orchards that are east of Eden. What am I looking for? A sharp left in the corridors of my mind leads me to soft amber lights of passing streetlights. A dim, pulsing glow as the world outside this car window blurs beyond recognition. In those moments, I could be anywhere in the world, anywhere in time. But I know that at this exit off the 710, my parents will turn onto our little street lined with magnolias. This part of the story never changes. They always take me home. Some wares at the sale are newer, shinier, piled precariously at the top, waiting to collapse under its own weight. These are the flashes of storming train stations, blood, sweat, and tears becoming indistinguishable. But it doesn't matter because they are inseparable. This is rock bottom. They are too fresh, too sharp, and I still cut myself on these. I haven't learned my lesson from them yet. If there really is something I'm looking for, I must have known it at some point, and now I'm just grasping at straws, desperate to recreate a once-in-a-lifetime wisdom, aching to be complete again. As every feathered moment in my life, shuttered, fleeting, frozen, revives to envelop me whole, I search for what I can no longer understand. This one's a little bit shorter. Now I become twisted and gnarled, because our magnolia tree never had the chance. Let softness brave the storm to emerge, bitterly alive and no longer kind. And love is enduring, this I am sure of, but it gets lost in the ceaseless currents crashing against the shores of tragedy. The genre that asks why over and over again. Why did this have to happen? We ask knowing full well the answer is why not. Swallow this. There are no clinical life lessons, theoretical textbook morals, or wisdom in the classroom setting. Nothing happens for a reason. We mourn the good who die young and the people we've become. Because love is grief, is love, is grief, is love. Grief is love that has nowhere to go. It can never go back home. My love letters are forever fated to be returned to sender, and the weight of it leaves me hollow and burning as a fever I can't sweat out. Okay, this one's long and it has bad words in it, so sorry. Tragic boys are fated to be callous until eternity ends, and I mourn their destiny, weighed carefully against the blood of Eden. Be forewarned, they break everything they touch, like thunderstorms in china shops, like the Golden Kings Battalion. And this is because they've never painted their nails. They don't know about the careful caresses of knuckles against doorknobs or pulling your skirt another inch down, or of lily-soft finger pads sweeping away the bathroom bangs after another lonely walk for romantics. Painting your nails means folding your hands to fit against the sharp edges of the world. They don't know what it means to handle with care. The pinprick shards of heartbreak will lay on the carpet as forever glittering galaxies until I sweep it up, without ruining the precise strokes of polish on my right pinky. While still desperately clinging to being good and human, with every moment of every day a perverted performance, and against my wishes, intimacy is always violation. Nothing is mine, not even my mind. Tragic boys don't believe in the celestial sky, and I devote myself to divinity without faith. This little game persists in our hate and our love for one another, yet I still find myself hoping for insanity over candlelight and keys between my knuckles, tearing my life apart, searching and searching for the feeling of tearing my stockings on the playground again. I am bitter and shattered and saccharine and lovely, and I am a cunt for saying no, apologizing for saying no, being terrified of what will happen if you say no. But I am a bitch for saying yes. Extra points if you take care not to ruin your nails when the clothes come off. Winner if they're still untouched when you have to piece his heart back together. because he took something that was never yours in the first place. And like every tragic girl, I am the Madonna, I am the whore, and I am the complex.
Did you read? No. Did everybody read? Okay, so next month.
Next month is going to be together too. No, not by himself, but with me. I think he could. She's a
pretty known figure here. She's really famous.
I'll be the flight attendant. I'll be the flight attendant. I'll sell the peanuts and the drinks, and you fly the airplane. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay. All right, Michael. Yeah. All you gotta do is you say. Thank you.
word with poetry. It's unplayable.
Oh my God! Are there the letters of transit inside though? Is there a switch? Here we go. All right. Yeah, we don't appear to have a screen going.
Good.
Oh no, I can see the stage dimly lit. Oh, you're live. You're live to the world.
We're live.
Here you go.
You can
15 minutes of fame.
Hmm.
Oh, it's got your face. You're staying in focus. All right, hold on. Goodbye, world. The stream is ending. Stop
The
recording.
stream